Hey daddies, bring your dragons, let's go to deep space, yeah. Hey daddies, bring your dragons, let's go to deep space.
Hi, William.
Hey, Jacob.
Okay, fans, listeners, welcome to another edition of Dragons Daddy's Deep Space, your favorite weekly podcast about all things science fiction and fantasy. So, this is our second interlude episode. This week, we have guest Brittnay Johnston from Hollywood's biggest podcast, among other things, on with us to talk about Sarah J Maas' Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight. Full disclosure, William and I are recording this little intro a few days after our recording with Brittnay. The recording with Brittnay was a beautiful time, but there are a few things that we want to clear.
There's some other disclosures to release to the general public, one of which was that I was casually day drinking beers at the beach all day prior to the podcast. So if I'm a little rambling, if I have some facts wrong, some plot details that are completely wrong, if I go on tangents, just know that I had beers at the beach prior to recording.
William was feeling loose, and he was ready to provide direction, to answer his own questions when posed, and just really, really keep the conversation moving and lengthy.
And I also would be like, okay, let's do this.
It's been a fun experience because for me personally, and I want to start by caveating, I am not an unhealthy person. I am not sick usually ever, and I know that I've said now on a handful of episodes that I wasn't feeling well when it came time to recording. And I promised I was not going to say that ever again to myself. However, then I encountered either a norovirus or a dodgy meat stick on Wednesday before
it was the dodgy meat stick, Jacob. You said one side of it was gray.
I did eat a meat stick, or part of it was gray, as I was working that afternoon, and I was just slowly spiraling downward before recording that evening. I texted William about 10 minutes before we were going. I was like, I don't know. I wasn't going to tell you this, but I've thrown up in the past hour. I'm going to fight through. I think that I'm fine. I have been editing the episode that we're about to play. And I know for a fact that there's a moment in there that I threw up in my mouth and I swallowed it. Just a little bit. Because I'm so dedicated to you listeners and to the art of podcasting. I did not say anything. I kept it moving, and I honestly cannot find the footage.
I will find the footage. I'm gonna come to the video and look where I just see a little suspicious gulping and swallowing, and your face goes a little puce. I had no idea that you told me this afterwards. I was, first of all, wow, your dedication to the pod through vomiting in your mouth, swallowing, and then keep talking about fairies and word keys or whatever is really astounding and impressive.
It's honestly kind of scary looking at the footage of me smiling and cracking jokes. Knowing
there's chunks of vomit in your back molars.
Knowing what I was going through at the time. We finished recording, and I had told Brittnay and William that what was going on, and they were both like, "You made it through." And I was like, I didn't, and immediately had to run to the bathroom.
We stop recording. Jacob just disappears from the screen. He comes back. He angles the camera just under his eyes, and later admits that he didn't know if he had puke on him.
I did have puke on.
Rain or shine or puke, we will get this pod out.
We know how important it is to all of you and to us.
Oh, yeah, we're not turning anyone away by this. We've done full body horror here.
But honestly, it is a good episode. Please don't turn it off. Even though we're not experts in the Maas-verse, we are openly dipping our toe into Throne of Glass land. I'm going to leave this in if we make this decision, but I think that we're going to cover the rest of the series on the pod. We just have to.
We are definitely covering the rest of the series. So, yeah, we'll get into the books 1 and 2 with Brittnay, but I've also been this week, as you know, I'm in Florida. I'm having the time of my life. My favorite thing to do in the world is to read on a beach, and I have been reading Assassin's Blade and Air of Fire on the beach for 6 hours a day, every day this week. So not to get ahead of us. No, if we're finishing, I'd be forcing you to record it to me right now. So They're also long books.
Yeah, they
But
get long.
when reading at the beach, I've been seeing pelicans, manatees. I had a close encounter with a dolphin. And it brought back to me, Jacob, did you know that there are dolphins? Did you know that there are sentient dolphins on Pern?
Believe you've told me that fact before, or my dad has, but it was probably you.
Pern, the Dragon Riders are Pern and McCaffrey, a book I've been dying to do in the pod. I completely forgot that. I think it is. I just looked it up. Book 11, no, book 10 out of 22, The Dolphins of Pern, where we learn that there are a sentient species of dolphins on Pern.
My parents also make fun of me, and this is related, I promise, because I always have like one thing that I have like two drinks and then like go on a ramble about. It's been like how the robots are going to take over. It's going to be about climate change. I've also done how we're going to one day have treaties with dolphin colonies because I believe that to be true.
That's what happened on Pern. The Pern, is like in the future, humanity has figured out a way to make dolphins speak to humans and that they become like a legal citizen. And they fly in spaceships filled with water, just like those octopi people in the Adrian Tchaikovsky books. Tchaikovsky.
You'll get it
So
right one day.
the dolphin I spoke to, I did not speak to I spoke to the dolphin. He or she did not speak back, unfortunately. But it was a spiritual connection. And I just, I like to believe that if that dolphin could read, he would be a Sarah J Maas lover.
I think that's so true, just like we are. Okay, but before we get into the meat of the podcast,
What?
we need to announce or re-announce, I guess, our April book.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I'm so excited about this one.
Okay.
So, dropping
is
on
it?
April 1st, we'll have our first episode on
What? I'm dying.
Drumroll,
I'm dying
please.
to know. What is it? What is it?
Sunrise on the Reaping, the latest in the Hunger Games saga by Suzanne Collins.
Hell yes.
We're going back to Panem. April 1st, you'll get us discussing one of Sunrise on the Reaping, the Haymitch feature, if you remember Haymitch Abernathy. Part 1 is pages 1 through 131. We hope you read along. Or don't. And yeah, we're really looking forward to that. William, what are you most excited about for Sunrise on the Reaping?
Probably the Hunger Games.
Oh, you dirty dog.
I've been rewatching the movies and I'm like, wait, these are so good.
The
I
movies
forgot-
are phenomenal.
I was like, wait, these are like legitimately good movies, and a good story. And I'm just excited for kids killing kids. Hey Mitch, isn't this one like a water set one? No.
I know nothing
I'm excited.
about it.
I'm excited for like what the terrain of the Hunger Games is going to be, honestly.
Yeah,
Is it snow? Is it tropical? Like, is it wood? Like, I don't know.
no. Anywho, so we'll be back with that on April 1st, but now sit back, relax, and enjoy our conversation with Brittnay Johnston about Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight.
Hey daddies, bring your dragons, let's go to deep space, yeah. Hey daddies, bring your dragons, let's go to deep space.
Okay, well, welcome to the pod, Brittnay Johnston, co-host of Hollywood's biggest podcast. Hello, Brittnay. Welcome to Dragons Daddy's Deep Space.
Hi, thank you guys so much for having me.
Yes,
And for
thank
dealing
you.
with my microphone not working for the first 10 minutes I tried to be here.
It was a joy. It was an
Did you love
absolute
that?
joy. Yeah, I loved. Now I
It's
know
just-
what Jacob feels like anytime I log on.
It's true. It's just it's the thrill of the pod. Welcome, Brittnay.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. I love your pod and I'm honored to be a guest.
You're our second guest ever. It's a huge honor to have you. So Brittnay,
Whatever you want.
Brittnay.
It doesn't matter.
Brittnay's giving more Brittnay's giving more fantasy world.
Salted and
kinda love
Brittnay.
it. Solid Brittnay. We go way back. We're both LA girlies. And turns out Jacob and Brittnay have also met before at a movie.
At a
We've
movie.
met at a movie.
We met at a movie. We went to see Bros, which I hated, and then everybody else got mad at me for hating. But I think
Yeah.
history has proven me right in that
I think
debate.
it has.
So you're welcome.
I was not really in a right state to judge any movie fairly, I would say. If you're catching up on what I'm putting down.
Yeah.
5 to 10 drinks.
Yeah.
I don't have opinions on any movies, so
Okay, great.
I love that.
Except that's so ironic because you are the co-host of literally Hollywood's biggest podcast, which taken at name value is Hollywood's biggest podcast.
I know. And it really is. We have like 20 subscribers.
But is that how you become Hollywood's biggest podcast, by having no opinions on anything? Everybody in the industry can be your biggest fan.
That's how you become commercially successful in general, I think. You just have to be really like milquetoast, lukewarm, no big statements, feelings, emotions, no POV at all.
Yeah, soft swings only.
Soft swings. And that's just how I live my life. I'm kidding. I do have opinions on movies. I just thought it'd be funny to say I didn't.
Tell us about how the pod is going.
It's going well. We're having such a fun time doing it. So Mimi and I, my co-host Mimi Von Schack, lovely comedian, writer, actress in Los Angeles. We did a sketch show at Upright Citizens Brigade last year, and it was all Hollywood's awards themed and based. So all our sketches revolved around that. And we loved the concept of awards and Hollywood in general. That's why we started the sketch show. And once we sort of had our run with doing the live show of it, we were like, well, what else can we do? We like this. We love working with each other. We love gossiping with people about Hollywood and talking with people about it. So Mimi really spearheaded us turning loosely that concept into a podcast. And now we just have our friends on that work in the industry. We have them on the pod and talk about their favorite things to talk about.
Okay, amazing. How many episodes? You have 2 episodes out, right? Or 1 mini episode, 1 full episode.
Correct. And we have, as of right now, Wednesday, March 19th, if I'm allowed to date us, we have am I allowed? Do we have to cut it? We have to cut it.
No. No, that is safe, because we'll be dropping this on March 25th.
Fast turnaround here.
Wow, you guys really work.
Mm-hmm. We give ourselves no room for error.
We recorded our episodes last year, so none of them make sense.
Really?
Just kidding. No. But we have another episode dropping tomorrow with Megan Amram that we're very excited about.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you do episode week to week? Do you have a bunch banked? What's your guys' process?
Yeah, we have, I want to say 5 episodes banked right now.
Okay.
And we release them on Thursdays. And our mini episode was just me and Mimi and our producer Devin. And we'll probably have a few more of those sort of mini, or not even mini, maybe it'll be full length episodes just with the 3 of us, because it's easier. You guys know, doing this, it's easier to coordinate 2 schedules versus 3. So yeah, we probably have 5 banked, and I don't know how long we're going to have our first season be yet. We're going to sort of figure it out.
Oh, you're doing it by seasons.
I think so. Look, this is all very, you are watching this from the ground up get built. We're figuring it out. Are you guys doing seasons, or are you just doing like continuous drops?
I've said that, because I post the episodes, I've said that this is all season 1. Now this is going to be episode 8.
You have said that?
I've put it into the podcast content management system, but when does it become season 2? I don't know.
Who
doesn't know?
When does this ever end? Who knows?
First of all, it's never going to end. It's going to go on
it's
forever until we have an episode out every single day. So my dream.
We leave every recording session, and William's like, I want to do another podcast episode tomorrow.
Truly,
can you read an entire book in the next 2 days so that you can talk about it? Like, no, I have a job.
I'm always like begging Jacob for more. I mean, I'm sure you can relate, but it's been so much fun to the point where like the podcast comes out and I'm like, yes, that was so fun. And listening to like, when do we get to record next? And I wait a couple of days and I'm like, yes, we recorded. When does it come out next? And then it's addictive, you know?
It is. It really is.
I mean, we're not performers like you, but is it similar to the thrill of the stage? The thrill of the viral meme?
It's equivalent to the thrill of one viral meme.
Okay.
It's different. There's something really nice about, I feel like, in terms of being funny, right? Like when I'm on stage, I know I'm trying to be funny and I'm like really working at that. But I find that I'm my funniest and I am laughing the most when I am just having conversations with my friends. And you don't really get to do that on stage a whole lot. So there's something really freeing about the podcast format for that reason, because it is just conversations with friends or people you're fans of, whatever. But there isn't this like, I need to remember all my lines. And if I drop a joke, there isn't another joke soon enough. And, the jokes per minute aren't going to be as good. It's just, so it's not as thrilling, but it's weirdly more rewarding, if that makes sense.
Well, we totally relate to the like conversation aspect of it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we've also said that it's kind of nice to have a thing that you're like working on that you care about, but you're also kind of like, well, I'm just gonna like put out a volume of shit and
Yeah,
totally.
and see how it goes.
We only have like 20, we have like 30 subscribers or something. So I'm like, it's not perfect. There's like audio edits. Like, it's not
And
the
we-
best episode. Whatever.
We love each and every one of you. Thank you for listening.
Yes, all 30 of you. Thank you. Except for you know who.
We know. Because I hate that subscriber too.
Sam. They're the
Thank you
worst.
so much.
They're the worst. We don't have them on Hollywood's Biggest Pod. They don't subscribe to us, but when they do,
Blocked.
blocked. I actually
Um,
don't know how you see your subscribers.
You can't. I would kill to see my
Okay.
subscribers. I would kill to see them.
I was like, wow, sounds like you guys have a lot of data that I've never heard of. All I know how to see is ratings.
Oh my god. How do you
Jacob won't even show
I
me
mean,
that.
Yes, I will. What?
Okay, maybe
I'll
William
screenshot-
and I are in the same
I'll
position because
screenshot-
like Mimi runs our podcast, right? Like I don't know how to do. You saw me with the microphone. I don't know what I'm doing. So-
Jacob gives me these like numbers and figures, and I'm like, where are you getting these from? I don't really believe you.
Okay, and the thing is
what
that
does
like
7 mean?
so like I am fully gatekeeping this, and there's like an instinct in me that's like, I'm gonna make a deck and I'm gonna chart the numbers and we're gonna walk through this week to week, and then I'm like, no, I can't do that. Like,
I want you to. I want to see that, and then maybe you could do that for Hollywood's Biggest Podcast as well.
Maybe you can hop on over to Silver Lake and show us a few of these trick singers.
I mean, if you
Maybe
want to
make a
discuss
deck.
if you want to discuss a fee,
We don't
Yeah.
have that yet because we are an independent podcast. But when we have fees, they'll go straight to you. No, but we love just talking. I mean, we started this podcast too because I don't have that many, I'm like obsessed with fantasy sci-fi books, and I don't have that many friends in my life who are at the same level as me or close-ish. Okay, so like when Jacob came to visit, we were talking for hours and hours about fantasy and sci-fi books, and it was like my favorite conversation ever. And then I was like, let's make a podcast.
That's amazing. And what a fun thing to connect over because I'm new to this. I'm like very like dipping my toe in the water as I'm sure we will get into.
I want to know. Let's get into it. Tell me all about this water. Tell me about like the water
The
you're dipping
water
your
is lukewarm.
the lukewarm.
No
Did you-
waves, no ripples, no strong currents.
Did you have like when you were younger, like fantasy books, sci-fi books that were like got you into reading, or what's your like relationship and history with fantasy sci-fi books?
Yeah, I mean, I was such a voracious reader as a kid of all types. And then, you know, like all millennials, loved the Harry Potter world so deeply and loved Hunger Games, loved all those big franchises, and then loved the Lord of the Rings movies, but never
Okay.
read the books. But
Me neither.
that's where I think I got my first burst of like, oh, there's like big fantasy. Like we're not out of school. There's other universes, right?
Outside
But
of
I've never read the
Hogwarts.
books. Yeah. Yeah. I was like, doesn't every book with magic take place at Hogwarts? Okay. It's like Gandalf is Dumbledore, you know. So that was sort of my foundation with it. And yeah, my dad loved Lord of the Rings. He was obsessed with all those books. So those movies
Jacob's
were
dad,
coming
too.
out. Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
such
my
a
dad-
dad series.
my dad is my gateway, and my dad is our biggest and number one fan. Shout out to Greg Bottiger.
Shout out to Greg.
Hi, Greg. You are not the subscriber we all loathe.
Okay, so just kind of like the classic / the basics, you would say.
Yes, very much that. Basic.
Well,
completely
speaking,
basic.
Speaking of Hunger Games, quick aside, Hunger Games, the new prequel, is our next month's book.
That's so oh my gosh.
It's got it right
Came
there.
out yesterday, so we're recording
Okay,
this
I
on
knew that.
the 19th.
I didn't. Okay, so you're both obviously going to read it because you have to for work. I don't know if I'm going to read it.
Perfect. Listen along. You don't have to.
Okay, great. Thank
the
you.
New York
Goodbye.
the New York Times said it's propulsive and great. So
Repulsive and great.
propulsive. Sorry, I should enunciate in a.
That's what
in a-
people say about me too.
oral.
Repulsive and great.
I mean, that does make me lean in.
Yeah.
I do go, you said what?
Okay, so if you were just sort of like a classic / basics, kind of girly, how did you get into the book we're talking about today? Like, what's your current relationship with books? I know you're a fourth wing girly. Is this true?
Yes, yeah. Fourth Wing got me back into the part of myself where I used to read all the time. It's like brought me back to that person. I'm sure, like all of us, COVID and the internet and TikTok, like I forgot how to read a few years ago, I'm pretty sure. Like a whole year went by and I was like, I don't think I read a book this year. And I was like, that is really embarrassing for me. I'm just on my phone, or I work in TV. I'm reading scripts constantly. And maybe that was part of my, like, I still felt like I was doing something, but I hadn't read a book in a year. And a few friends of mine were in a book club, and I was like, please let me join this. I need something. I need homework. I need something. I can't bring myself to read. The only way I know how to do anything right now is accountability with another group. So I joined a book club and was like reading a little and was like, this is fine. Guess it was fine to skip reading for so long. Like nothing really grasped me until one of my friends was like, oh, have you read Fourth Wing? I was like, no. They're like, it's like Harry Potter, but they all have sex. And I was like, well, what more do you need? So got Fourth Wing and read it in like 36 hours. I was like, oh, we are so back. I needed like candy to read. You know what I mean? Something that just felt like candy. So I started on that journey with Fourth Wing, and then I was sort of posting on Instagram about all of that. And a friend of mine, Jake Coppathorne, who's a great writer and pal of mine, was like, wait, this is like my favorite genre, romantasy. And I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, the romantasy genre. I was like, Jake, I haven't read in 2 years. I don't know what this means. And so he informed me about the Sarah J Maas. Is it Maas or Maas? Her last name.
So,
Maas?
I
Two
think
A's.
we should know this. Booktok, they kind of like saw like Maas-verse, like they kind of split the difference. Maas.
Okay. Maas.
I think it's like a ba of a lamb, but Maas.
Okay, the Sarah J Maas verse. He told me about that. And so I started ACOTAR, read all of that, and then he was like, you're going to really love Throne of Glass and the Throne of Glass series. Because ACOTAR also felt like candy, the same way Fourth Wing did. And what I've gathered so far, I've only read the first 2 books of Throne of Glass, is that this is a little bit more... it's a little bit like Harry Potter 2, Lord of the Rings, where it's like, I think the world in this series is a little bit bigger and less like spicy, sexy, whatever, more actual fantasy elements.
Yeah.
So
like Throne of Glass has a lot of like triangles, but we're not fucking.
Yeah.
There's not like a lot of descriptive passages, which I know like a lot of, like I only read the first ACOTAR book, but I know that like later books become like very much
crazy.
just in the bedroom.
They go crazy.
I
think I was reading the book one night and like my husband Derek walked in and was like, ah! Like I threw it over. Like I was like caught. I'm like, I'm reading a book, but like it gets very steamy.
I mean, Throne of Glass was written before ACOTAR, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I wonder if like, that was 2018, I think this was published or something, or the
2014 is when these were like published by like a publisher, but she's been working on them since she was 16. So I think that she was working on them from like 2002 on.
So I saw this online today. She originally published this on fictionpress.net. Do you guys know what that is? It's the sister site to fanfiction.net.
Oh, I know
which
that.
is where everyone goes and writes fan fiction. That's where like fan fiction writers would post their own original stuff. Was on FictionNet, and it was like one of the most popular stories on that website.
Oh my gosh! Wow,
isn't that interesting?
And something, yeah, she wrote as a teenager,
and then she took it down.
Took off.
Well, I guess she wrote it. I don't know how many years later she kind of rewrote and republished it. But I mean, huge fantasy sci-fi guy. Read Fourth Wing, could not get into it. ACOTAR, same. And so then Jacob told me about Throne of Glass, and he was like, you need to read this. I was like, no, I don't like those books. And Jacob was like, no, you need to keep reading. So Jacob, tell me about how you sort of got on this train a little bit.
So like last year, when I was getting back into science fiction and fantasy, I'd been like seeing all these like Booktok posts, and I was like, maybe there's something I can do on Booktok or in the book space. And then was seeing about these books, and I'm like, I've kind of held like judgment towards them and thinking they're like lowbrow and like not for me. Then I picked one up like last October, and the next day it was done. Because you just like can't stop reading it, and it is like candy. Like, you know that it's not like great literature, but like I cannot stop reading.
Yeah.
I
so
mean,
you've read all of them?
Just the first 3, because we're gonna do more with the rest, we think.
Yeah. It's funny. I mean, I have two things. One is that anyone who's like not a big reader and wants to read more, my number one advice is like go for the most commercial,
Yes.
like do not like start small and easy. Like go for commercial, go for kind of shitty writing, go for pure entertainment. If your goal is exclusively to read, not just like I want to read the classics, I just want to read more. Yeah, go forth and go this. But yeah, I wasn't gonna. And originally, even on this podcast, we're like, okay, we're not doing book talk books. I don't know why. In the beginning, we said this.
You're like,
You
that's
didn't want to be
stupid.
popular.
I mean, yeah, I was like, now I'm like, wait, like, why did we do that? We need to do every single book talk book there is. I'm like, also we like need to do like all of them. But so Jacob, told me to keep reading, and so today we're just gonna talk about book 1, Throne of Glass, and book 2,
Crown of Midnight.
Crown of. First of all, I will say I love. Okay, so when I saw these books years ago, they had horrible covers. They've re-released them like this, one Jacob's holding, and they look gorgeous.
These covers
Yes,
are
the new
stunning.
covers are really pretty.
I really want the 8-book box set with these new covers so badly.
For listeners who aren't watching on YouTube, plug our YouTube channel. They're these beautiful like paper cutout dioramas that make up each of the covers.
They're stylish. They're simple. Before they looked like they had like a badly animated like warrior woman with like 2 swords and
Yeah,
like
it was like stick figure-y, right?
yeah, it was just like looked like a trashy book. These kind of look like classy and elevated. But it's so funny because okay, so let's get into book 1. But I was like, okay, Jacob, should we do just the podcast interlude episode of book 1? And Jacob was like, no, there's not enough that happens.
Which, like, that's kind of true.
It's kind of true, and they're the same book. Like the
So-
same book happens twice.
Yeah, Jacob,
Yeah.
he said this to you over and over again. So like when he first told me about it, he's like, you're gonna love it, William. There's like secret passageways and like word glyphs or word marks.
Word
And like
marks.
I read them and I was like, there are secret passageways and there are word marks. And I was like, I'm fit.
And then book 2 is like, and what if there were more passageways and more
Yeah.
word marks?
Literally.
But what if there's also a talking doorknob?
I hate
Look,
the Dr. Doorknob.
And what if there's a witch with metal teeth?
I love
Hello.
We love her. But okay,
we
but
love her.
wait.
I
Let's
know,
go a
sorry,
little.
I'm jumping ahead.
Let's go chronological. So let's like okay, let's give like a brief recap of book 1. So it starts with the name on everyone's lips, Selena Sardathia. Is that how you say it?
Selena
Selena.
Sardothian. Yeah.
Selena?
Selena.
Selena.
You can tell the author is like, she wrote that name and she was like, oh baby, like that's a good one.
She was like, the Gaelics are reading this book. As a
So-
Brittnay, I saw that and was like, I feel seen.
You are kind of the perfect
Selena.
guess. The names in this book are like completely unhinged.
Jacob loves the names of books. They really crack me up, but I need to ask you to pronounce some of them, but so the book starts with Selena Sardothian, who's been in a prison labor camp in Dovier for like 2 years. She was like the number 1 assassin in this land,
Otterlin.
Otterlin, the number 1 assassin, Otterlin's assassin, sent to prison camp, and we found out that Otterlin has an evil king who's sort of conquering the whole continent. Magic has been dead for 10 years. It used to be like a magical classic fantasy world. All the magic is gone. She's been in Endovier, and then she's kind of like taken out of Endovier by the prince. Now someone else jump on.
Well, it's like
Dorian.
the Prince Dorian and Kale, who
How do you,
Kale.
it's Chwal.
Joel.
it's definitely Kale is how Kale, which like
Is it?
I remember it as like K-hole.
Kale.
K-hole because it's Kale.
Kale. Oh, Kale. That's so dumb.
It's really
I hate
I
good.
know. It's Joel.
It's Jowl. And then what's the prince's name?
Dorian.
Dorian.
Dorian
He's hot.
Hilliard.
He's hot.
Yeah, and ladies, he's stunning.
Uh-huh.
He's got blue eyes. Okay, wait, Jacob, give us a little middle part. Brittnay, take us to the end.
So basically, she gets taken out of Endovier by Dorian and Kale, and she's told that she's going to compete in a competition to become the king's champion, not the king's champion. And the king is like a really evil dude. He's like big and brawny and evil. He has this sword called Not Hung, which I personally find hilarious.
Not hung?
Not
I thought it was,
hung.
it's no thing, isn't it?
Oh, wait.
Nothing.
No, it's
not
not hung.
hung.
No,
You're
it's
like,
not
okay,
hung.
I think the king is like
the king has
something.
he's compensating for something
Because we know by sword he is not hung.
with some extreme evil shit.
No.
Otterlin has basically taken over all of the continent of
Aurelia.
Aurelia. Yeah. One country by one country. And he's going to have this competition to see who can become his champion. And Selena's going to participate.
Yeah, he has this ludicrous idea to get 10 criminals, like 10 bad criminals, make them compete in a competition to see who can become his number one assassin. And then Brittnay, lead us out.
So Selena is like, yeah, I'll do anything to get out of this labor camp. Like, let's go, girls. They take her, the prince and Chol take her to this glass castle. It's this gorgeous, big, beautiful glass castle built on top of an original stone castle.
Okay, interjection. I do not get the glass castle at all. I cannot visualize it.
I think it's an allegory for gentrification.
Like, what do you guys think it looks like?
I think it looks like a stone castle and then a glass castle built on top of it, and you can see through all the glass into the original stone castle.
But also, they talk about the glass sometimes in different colors and sometimes see-through and sometimes opaque.
Have you ever seen glass? Like stained glass?
Well, where did this castle come from? Who made this castle?
The king made the new glass castle.
Did
and
he?
the stone, I thought so. I thought that was sort of like his addition. And the stone castle is the original castle.
So
from,
it's like a stone castle with like a glass castle on top of it.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
And neither does Selena. And when she gets there, she's like, what an eyesore. Ugly. But she lives there anyway. And then slowly, all these competitors in this competition start one by one dying. But not just like dying, like innards spilled on the floor. Dying.
Yeah,
they keep
brutally.
getting found. Yeah, just like ravaged, just like ripped apart. And interjection, sorry, I know we're doing a summary. When I read that first kill, I was like, hell yeah. Because I like spooky and I like a gory death. And I think that's fun in a book.
Okay, these kills made no sense because people were viciously, brutally murdered. And everyone's like, that's weird. Must be like, they're like, I don't know, must be like a bear in the castle or something where he tripped. And these people are like, chest cavities ripped open, like intestines
skin peeled off. Like their skull exposed. There's like holes in their skull. Their brains are sucked out.
Intestines like put in little like Wyrdmark shapes. So yeah, that's what they call these like magical symbols, glyphs or something. Wyrdmarks. Jacob, how do you say that?
Wyrdmarks?
Weird or
yes.
word?
I say word.
I said word.
Word.
Like word.
So yeah, everyone, they're in this competition, and again, no one is taking this murder thing seriously. Like, no one's concerned.
No, they're acting like people get chopped in half in this glass castle constantly. They're like, oh, another brutal murder.
Also,
clean
like
up hallway.
Mess in hallway E, like passage to the kitchens.
Yeah.
Also, like the whole tournament idea is like I said earlier, he takes a bunch of criminals. He's like, who's gonna be the best at these tasks I give? There's gonna be like, what is the logic there? Or like, why not just get the best warrior to be your champion? Why do they have to be criminals?
Because you want people who are like really good at killing. And the king is evil. Yeah. I don't know if you've gotten that. The king is a bad guy. He's also outlawed all magic, which also doesn't fully make sense because it feels like magic is happening all over the place with the Wyrdmarks and the like weird murders, but they're like, no, magic doesn't exist here. It really isn't here.
That was confusing.
A magical thing happens every 5 pages. And they're like, magic. And it's like,
there was
just happened.
When she like first got out of prison, she was walking through the woods and she's like, oh, there used to be like gnomes and imps and fairies and things in these woods, but not anymore. And there's no magic, but then there's constantly magic left and right. Also, like, it's funny because, like, when Jacob's like, the book's about Wyrdmarks and passageways, it's either, like, something's happening, there's a Wyrdmark, or there's nothing. It's like, there is no, like, it's like intriguing plot, there's a Wyrdmark, or there's nothing happening.
Or she's, like, walking with her BFF Nehemia through the courtyard, who is...
Tell us about Nehemia.
Nehemia is the princess of Idleway.
Which is, like, a India-coded land, right?
I don't know. I never saw it. It's, like, marshes.
I thought it was like India.
Well, I love your imagination. Who is the Princess of Eelway, which is a country that Otterlin and the evil king have like sort of annexed, and they've taken her and to like put down any rebellion, they're keeping her at the glass castle in Otterland, and she's just sort of there. Her Otterlese, or her English, is like really bad, allegedly. So Selena is helping her with her language skills, even though it turns out Nehemia has been like faking that, and she can speak very well.
The common tongue, as he said.
Yeah, whatever it is.
A classic fantasy book trope. The common. You speak common. They became best friends. Her and Nehemia. And Nehemia hates the king as well because her land was also, taken over, conquered by evil king.
But she also is one of the few territories that has some agency, right? Like they're not, are they fully run by the king, or like, because she's the princess of Elway, but she's not the princess of this territory. So that was one thing that I was like, how much jurisdiction? Obviously the king has total jurisdiction, but it felt like they still had some semblance of like political family, royal family, government to a degree.
It does feel like they still have their own country, but then they also have the like prison camp of Calaculla, which they reference constantly, which is like an Otterland prison camp. So I don't know.
Sarah J Maas loves those names of those prison camps. And Dovier and Calaculla, she cannot say them enough. And they were like the catch-all example of like why the king is evil is because he has these like which is having slave labor prison camps, the mines. But yeah, they become good friends. Yeah. So what's our girl Selena up to at this castle?
She's like prepping for the competition, right? Because she's also like, she's been underground in a mine for like years. So she's like, I don't have any muscles and I can barely, my eyes do not adjust to light. So she's kind of she's training with K-Hole a little bit.
Yeah, K-Hole.
Exactly.
They're going on morning runs and training with, guys, so I did not really like book one really much at all. I found this whole like the premise of like the competition, like the Hunger Games of it all kind of really boring. And then also because there's just like 10 challenges or something. Each challenge someone gets voted off or something. And the challenges were boring. It was like shoot an arrow, climb a wall. I was like, I want this to get crazy. It didn't really get crazy for me. That's all I got. Thank you.
Sorry, William.
Yeah, I wish it could have been crazier for you.
Thanks.
The other like thing that's going on is that there's the evil Duke Parrington and his like consort, the Lady Caltaine Rompier.
I love the Lady Caltaine Rompier.
The Lady Caltaine Rompier.
She's a diva.
She is such a bitch.
Such a diva. But so they're lovers, but Caltaine is also in love with Dorian and wants to marry him. Meanwhile,
prince.
Selena is trapped in a love triangle between Dorian and Kale the entirety of book one. She's training with Kale.
But she's mostly with Dorian.
Yes. They are the most explicitly romantic. Like, she and Kale are sort of like slowly falling in love with each other over these training montages.
But they're still kind of enemies too.
Yeah, he hates her because she's like,
making me run. He's like, you have to.
I mean, her whole thing is that she's a brat and she attracts brat tamers. Like,
she is kind of a brat. How do we feel
she's
about
the total
Selena
brat.
as
She's a
our
brat.
hero?
Brittnay, you go first.
So not to compare all of the Sarah J Maas books, I like a protagonist like Selena more than I liked a protagonist like Feyre in ACOTAR, because Selena has a lot of spunk. She's like kind of wily. She like snips back at people, and I appreciate that rather than someone who's like, I just paint. I don't know. Like, Selena's got spunk. But I was like, okay, she's 19 and the world's greatest assassin, yet this bitch like loves candy and naps, and like she's never getting woken up by all the people that just like waltz into her room. I'm like, that just doesn't really seem like an assassin's trait to me.
Agreed.
I just feel like to be an assassin, you should not be a super heavy sleeper.
No, she's
But
kind of
what do I
lackadaisical.
know?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been told again and again that she's the greatest assassin of all time, but we don't ever really see it. Again, she just keeps walking in her room. Also, she's like, the trope is like she's an assassin with a heart of gold. And I was like, I just like don't believe that she's someone who would have killed all these people. She's so like good and kind or whatever. And I didn't really believe that, but she's a fun character. I mean, she's fun because unlike those other sort of like leads her like, oh, like I'm so ugly and like worthless. I can't do anything. She's like, I'm hot. Like,
Yes.
really good at my job. Or no, she doesn't say she's hot. She's like, look, I have a great body, gorgeous eyes, really good hair, and with some makeup and a nice dress, I'm fucking incredible.
I love that about her. And I love that she
Yeah.
loves clothes too. I was like,
Yeah.
that's a fun trait. Yeah, give her something fun. Because a lot of my brief experience in this world is like people who have just come out of like torture or really shitty living conditions. And they're like, I have no earthly wants because for so long I just needed a piece of bread. And Selena is like, I love linen. Give me a good cotton blend and like work. I can work with that.
It's like more in book 2, but she loves to go shopping.
Yes.
And
yeah, we'd love to see.
We'd
and the
love to
prequel
see
too. But like, I just love it. She's a shopaholic. I mean, her whole thing is that she is sort of like, she's like, everyone's like, oh, how could you speak to like the king like that? She's such a little, she's fresh. She's
Yes.
like, she's got a bad attitude, and she gets away with it constantly because she's just like that bitch. But it's fun. It works for me. And she's in the competition. Everyone's getting voted. The competition's like full of losers. Yeah, they're getting murdered.
They're getting voted out there. They're getting violently murdered by an
And, like,
eldritch creature.
But like, there's these people are like, one guy's like a serial killer with like disgusting teeth. I'm like, would
Yes.
the king really want this guy as his assassin? She has one friend, Knox. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Whatever. I thought he would come back in the later book.
He might.
He might. But so people are getting murdered. Oh, and then meanwhile, we find secret passageway number 1.
Mm-hmm.
She finds a secret passageway just under a tapestry in her room. Oh, wait, I'm going to pause here for a second to talk about how small this book is. I have never read a book. It's like, this could be a play. It takes place in like 4 rooms.
That's a brilliant idea.
It's her bedchamber, the practice round, the courtyard, the secret passageway, the throne room, and that is, I don't think there's a single other setting other than when they got on their way there.
Yeah.
Unity of place.
Library.
And the library, thank you.
Did they go there in the first book?
Yeah, there's literally like 6 places they go. There's also like only like 6 characters. There's like her,
Yeah.
the bodyguard, the prince, her friend, the like bitchy slut, the king.
Kaltain Rumpier. Put respect on her name.
I do love Kaltain.
Diva.
Okay, so secret passage she finds behind a tapestry in her room, which is like, I mean, very convenient, but cool. She goes down there, and then she finds the tomb of like an ancient fairy queen.
King
The
and
king-
queen.
King and
of
queen.
Otterlin.
Like 1,000 years ago, back before evil king took over and outlawed magic and killed people. So they find, and then she meets Jacob. What's her name? This fairy queen.
Elena? The queen?
Queen Elena.
The
who's like
ghost of Queen Elena
Yeah.
appears
Queen
to her.
Elena, who's like, Selena girl, we need to save the world, and evil darkness is afoot, and only you can vanquish it.
And to that,
Right?
Selena is like, no.
I'm sorry. No, she's like, I'm too busy eating chocolate cake, reading in bed, eating bonbons.
Well, she's like, gotta become the king's champion so that she can get out of being in Dovier for the
Oh,
rest
yeah.
of her life.
So if she loses the competition, she's going back to jail. Her only way to freedom is to win this king's competition. She gets 4 years, which like really isn't that bad. A really high salary, which is like really generous. And so
Whose side are you on?
I think William is very much like evil king aligned, and I'm disturbed.
I know. He's like,
So-
and honestly, magic sucks. It should have been outlawed a
Yeah, it was-
long time ago.
it was weird as freaking people out, and nobody really got it.
You're
like,
the only
honestly-
one who didn't get it.
So her main competition is this guy, Kane, a total hottie, total hunk.
Totally. You are evil.
Yeah,
You are evil.
He looks like a giant circuit guy.
This giant circuit gay from
He's
like from
scary.
the mountains. He's
Yeah.
hugely muscular, scary. Her number 1 competition, and it starts to act a little strange. There's this one part in the book where she's out on a walk with Nahima, her BFF, and they walk by the courtyard where there's like a clock tower with evil gargoyles. She does not like the looks of those things one bit. And correct me if I'm wrong, but she walks by him and he's wearing a black ring and he's acting really sketchy, and his eyes go black and then they go normal again, and they're both like, that was really weird.
Yeah, literally.
It just keep
Literally.
walking.
They're like, oh, Kane's just being Kane again. He's like
They're like-
foaming at the mouth, crying blood. They're like, ugh, we hate that guy.
And like, no, like maybe that's who's mysteriously murdering all these contestants.
That's
Well,
the funny thing too, is like all these people are dying, all these members of the competition. Selena has been the world's biggest assassin her whole life. The second she's out of jail, all her competition is mysteriously dying. Everyone's accusing her, which like it does make sense, but also Kane is acting crazy nonstop and clearly so openly evil, and nobody, including Selena, questions him at all.
Nobody.
But he is sort of also like our only suspect the entire time. I was like, it can't be Kane. He's the only one that it like could be.
I mean,
And
this
then
book
it
is
was.
it's so simple and small. Like literally, there's like it's like 6 rooms, 6 characters, and it's him. So yeah,
It's a
we
chamber
find-
piece.
It's a chamber
I see a Tony Award winning play.
Let's play.
Yeah,
It could
we
happen
can
in
all
one
be
act.
so lucky.
Nihima seems to know more than she's letting on. She knows about word marks. She seems to be able to write them. Selena's like, tell me more. She's like, no. And then I think Selena goes down the secret passageway, and there's also like 2 ways she can go. One is like to the throne, and then she goes down the other way, and she goes to a creepy room with like green evil light, and that's where she sees Kane up to nefarious deeds, where he's summoning a what are they? A Ritterak.
A Ritterak?
Which is like a werewolf.
Yeah, it's like an elongated humanoid monster kind of thing.
That he
Which
summons
is-
out of a portal.
He summons out of a portal, out of a portal.
He summons out of a portal. Also, if we keep going at this pace, we're going to be recording for 3 hours.
Okay, we'll skip the recaps. We'll just keep going. I know. It's like okay, so the book. Yeah, we'll just talk about general stuff. The book ends.
And then the end.
And then the end. Book 2.
Okay, so final. What?
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say final challenge
Yes.
between Kane and her. It's like the only 2 left. And then Jacob pointed out to me that this action sequence made literally 0 sense.
I couldn't picture it.
Well, because half of it, she basically like takes acid and is having this whole battle in her mind, but everyone's just watching her sort of writhe about on the floor next to the clock tower. But yes,
Yeah, she's-
very hard to visualize.
She's clearly poisoned. No one's helping her. And then all of a sudden she starts seeing Kane is like eyes are black, acting possessed, and she sees like demons and crazy other things. Like I couldn't follow
Shadow
it.
figure. She's like in a parallel dimension or alternate universe where all these like shadowy beings are like attacking her. Also, important to mention, poisoned by Diva.
By Lady
Diva
Constantine
Girl,
here.
Miss Girl, yes.
Yeah. On behalf
Swing-
of Duke Parrington, who is Kane's sponsor, I guess,
Yeah.
in this
This-
whole thing.
Something about Keltane is that she did just play the role of like this sort of like, oh, like the prince actually likes me, not you. But you did get a sense, like, you know, she's going to stay in the series. Like, I kind of just got this sense where I was like, something's going to go on with her. And she is in book 2 a little bit.
There's more going on with Kaltane. She also has like some sort of drug addiction. I think
Oh, I
it's
love
I think
that.
it's opium.
Yes, she's a total opium head. I love that.
Yeah.
Casual. She's kind
That's
of
why we
badass.
stand her.
We have to.
Get your fix, girl.
So it ends, and then she kills Kane. No, Kale kills Kane.
She wins the
No.
competition. Kale goes to kill him. Kale kills Kane.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
But
Kale
love-
kills
Selena
Kane.
wins like despite being high off acid.
yeah.
Yeah, she still
She's
wins. She's the
Otterland's
queen's
assassin.
Otterland's
Yeah,
assassin,
She's the
king's
best that
champion.
there's ever been. Trained by
She-
Arab and Hamel.
She's that bitch. And then that's the end of book 1, right?
Well, the real end is her then like she becomes the king's assassin and then she like goes to Dorian and it's like, we can't be together anymore because now I work for your dad.
Yeah. Sorry, conflict of interest, bitch. After like
Yeah.
leading him on the entire time.
Yeah.
So we also didn't discuss the romance at all, even though this is like a romantasy book.
I mean, it's really just she's really with Dorian. They kiss a few times and K-Hole is always like moody and sad about it.
Yeah, Dorian's a reader. He's like a flirt. They read, they kick it off. But then book 2, she's the king's champion. But this book, because she broke up with Dorian, she's immediately like Kale's girlfriend.
Yeah.
Immediately.
They are BF and GF for E.
So yeah, Jacob, you told me you were like book 2 is literally the same as book 1, and at least for the first half, it's like literally the same.
It's literally the same. It's like she goes into town, so we get like a little bit more variety in location.
So there's
But
a seventh spot.
Yeah, but we're still very much in bedroom or secret passageway or tomb or the throne room.
But this time we get a new secret passageway under a tapestry in the library.
It's true.
Yeah.
There's
There's
two
a
secret passages now.
And this one has a lot of like it seems like magical enhanced doors that were held like we don't really know, except one was broken into and another creepy monster comes out. And I will say, like, we see two by the end, but we've seen three like creepy monsters in book 1 and book 2, and they're all the same. They're all just like elongated humanoid claws, like.
Yeah,
What's
I
up with
could
that?
not tell the difference in the monsters. I was just sort of imagining the Ritterak again.
Yeah, essentially same idea. But so yeah, book 2, she's King's assassin, but she's not actually killing these people. She's faking their deaths, which I'm like, girl, like you've killed people before, right? Like,
To your point, yeah, she doesn't really seem like a person that kills people for a living.
like if she's the best, she would have killed so many people, but she like can't even bring herself to kill anyone. So, but she's got more freedom. She goes shopping. She and Nahima are BFFs. Yeah, but how did you feel about like at least like the start of book 2 compared to like book 1? Like it definitely felt like, to me, part 1 of book 2 should have been the end of like book 1, if that makes sense, because they seemed like the same.
Yeah, because I also wanted to really see this turn. If the love story is so important, I wanted to see the turn of like, I was with Dorian and now I am with Kale. You know, it felt to me like the fact that we ended book 1 breaking up with Dorian and then we're opening and she's basically, dating Kale right off the bat. I was like, wait, this, I don't know. I could have used more connective tissue in the same book to set that pace a little bit.
And imagine how good that cliffhanger would have been if it was like, what happens at the end of part 1 of book 2 is Nehemia gets murdered. Selena thinks that it's Kale who is in on it and sort of orchestrating the whole thing. So like her boyfriend has killed her best friend, and then she has that betrayal, and then like cut to black. Love.
That would have been an amazing end of book 1.
Yeah, I feel like the whole sort of like King's Champion competition should have been like the intro to like not a whole book, but funny is it was kind of a long book though for like how little happens. Like it did seem kind of long, but I think that would have been a much stronger ending. Yeah, so Nahima gets murdered. That's in the book that's when it really picked up for me. That's where I was like, the first half I was like, wait, Jacob says that this book gets better than book 1, but it feels the same to me. But then once that happens, it really took off. And we meet a new character too, a really hot guy named Archer.
Fan.
Oh, he is just stunning. He's even hotter than Dorian, if you can believe it.
That's basically the description.
Yeah,
He was the hottest man that she'd ever seen.
Yeah, and his character is just hot, and for a living, he is hot. So
He's a bisexual courtesan. We love to see it. We love to see it. So they become, and I guess they know each other back from her early days when she was in the Assassin's Guild and she was like the best at it. And yeah, so things happen is that like, turns out he is in a rebellion against the king of Otterland, and the Hemo is a huge part of it. And then he thinks that Kale is gonna intimidate or something with Nahima. Did you guys follow this? It was kind of confusing to me. Like when he kidnapped Kale,
and
then, but I was like, why?
because Selena then goes to save him, and they didn't want Selena at the castle. But Archer didn't know Nehemia was going to die, or did he?
He did.
Okay,
He did.
So did he want to lure Selena out?
I think
so they could get to Nehemia?
I think so, and I think the whole thing is supposed to be like a catalyst for her remembering who she really is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So
like Archer is like part of this resistance rebellion thing, trying to get the the queen of wherever the fuck Selena's from.
Oh yeah, he's like, oh, we're open rebellion and we're trying to help Queen Aelin Galantheus.
Yes.
We're trying to bring Aelin Galantheus, the missing, like fabled missing queen of Terrasen, the lands where Selena comes from, back into power, and that Nehemia was working with them. And we always knew she had more going on than she sort of let on, but supposedly she was working with them to bring Aelin to power. And there was a moment we saw a brief little interlude of Nehemia talking to the ghost of the fairy queen, who was sort of, do you remember this? She was like, it was like couple of paragraphs, and it was like the princess said to the queen, where it seems like Nehemia knew she was about to die, but it was part of this fairy
those
queen ghost.
interstitial sort of chapters that were really short.
Yes.
I was like, what is this? I did not know what was going on.
It wasn't clear, but it was like the princess said to the queen, and I was led to believe that she was also working with the ghost of the fairy queen and they were like planning on somehow starting Selena on a journey to rid the world of evil, and that started with Nehemia's death.
Yeah, that was like a catalyzing event. And I think that like the other thing that I think makes book 2 better than book 1 is she starts to play with perspective in a really fun way, that like it's not just Selena so much anymore, or Kale or Dorian. It's like you're getting all these other characters. She's like showing things from particular point of views and leaving out another character who you might want to hear from. So there's like
it starts to get a little multi-character perspective. We see Dorian's perspective. We learn that he has magical powers. Once again, breaking this like no one has magical powers rule. It's like
what did he do to outlaw magic and end it and put it all away if everybody has it?
We don't know, but something to do with these word keys.
And something to do with all the like stone, like the stone that the clock tower is made of, right? And the stone, like
Yes.
he has that ring. Oh my gosh! And we meet Dorian's evil cousin in book 2. Whatever, right?
He's in book 2?
Yeah, the evil cousin.
Aelin?
No, the blonde guy, the
Oh.
blonde evil
Dorian.
guy
Yeah,
that
but-
K-hole hates.
Did he do anything though?
Well,
It's
he
not-
just also gets a black ring.
Oh yeah, so it seems like there's like these
Roland.
magical Roland.
Roland.
Yes.
Yeah, and the king has all these little people who have black rings, including I think Caltaine, right? Who's
Yes.
now in prison. She has a black ring. And it seems like these are like people he's giving little pieces of dark magic that comes from these word gates, which are open to portals to different worlds. And it's kind of cool that it's like they're like, oh, there's also like other worlds, not just like different like realms and things. I mean, there is, again, this book takes place in a castle, and now a castle and a capital, but there's like, they hint at the world beyond, and then they also hint at worlds beyond the worlds, but really surprisingly contained for somewhere where the series goes. But, okay, Nehemia is brutally murdered, and Selena loses it.
Selena loses it. She decides that she needs to like revenge Nehemia. She kills that creepy grave dude from the original
Yeah.
competition.
Pause, why was he allowed to live if he lost the competition? Why is he just out?
They didn't all get killed if they lost.
Well, wouldn't they go back to jail? Wasn't that her
Not
correction?
all of them were in labor camps.
Oh.
Like they were all bad, but not all of them had the stakes she had of like, I'm going back to jail, essentially.
Okay.
Because like Cain too, I think was just like he was like related to the royal people or something. Like he was like a friend of the family.
He was like he was a Northman. He was one of those mountain guys,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right.
Okay, but lead us out. Let's lead us to this twist.
The twist is there's the portals everywhere.
Oh yeah. I guess we have to talk about the portals. We get another humanoid monster from another realm, right? Wait,
yeah, but it only comes in for like a second.
Yeah. Low stakes.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I got ahead of myself. She was like, "I'm gonna go open a portal to the underworld, and I'm gonna talk to Nehemia and be like, I'm so sorry, girl. My bad." And so she does some dark magic, and then opens a portal. But this was kind of funny, actually. She like wrote it perfectly, and then Archer, who turns out is evil, comes in, and she's like, oh, Archer, and then accidentally smears one of the symbols. So instead of, it was giving like what's in Harry Potter when he goes in the Flu Network, instead of Diagon Alley sneezes and says like,
He says
Diagonally.
diagonally.
that's what happened with these Wyrdmarks. So she smeared it by accident, opened up a portal to like a creepy just monster realm kind of. And Archer is like, I killed Nehemia, join us, we're gonna bring Queen Aelin to power.
And then she goes through the portal, and Kale follows her through the portal. And when she goes through the portal, it unlocks her magical powers because she is Aelin Galathinius, the true queen of Terrasen.
And she's also Fae.
Yeah.
Yes.
Her ears elongate. Again, everybody has magic.
FAE. Her ears elongate, her canines elongate. I like that they're like,
yeah.
I like that they're vampiric. I thought that was very cool. But did you guys see that twist coming?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of did. Because I was
Okay.
like, all because Queen Elena is part Fae, and what every time Selena's talking to her all the time, and I'm like, this is giving family. It's giving Family Feud. You guys are like chirping and fighting as if like this is like your great 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 grandmother. Like I don't know. And yeah, Selena can do all this like weird stuff. Again, everybody does have magic. That I was like, they're related. I don't know to what degree she's going to be Fae or what that even means in this world. But something's there.
It was like the most obvious, I mean, most fitting, obvious twist. I don't know why I wasn't expecting it, but even in book one, when she was going through the forest, she slept and she woke up and she had a flower ring around her. She was like, "Oh no!" While I slept, little sprites came in and gave a flower ring around my tent. So I was like, also, why are there little fake creatures picking flowers if magic is dead? But
And she keeps seeing like the stag.
and then she sees the white stag. I totally
Yeah.
forgot about it. So she's this fable. She's half fae, or is she full fae? What we learn is that fae can turn into animals. Each fae gets one animal to transform into, and when magic was left the world, a lot of fae were caught in their animal forms, but that her animal form is a human. So she's stuck in a. Why are you laughing?
Because it's amazing. Sarah J Maas is a friggin' genius.
She's stuck in her human form, which I think is pretty cool. But in this realm she goes into, her ears elongate, her canines go out, and she shoots blue fire. Like that.
And then that's
That's it.
basically the end.
That's it.
Yeah.
And yeah, love wise, she like kind of reconnects with Dorian a little bit. So you're like,
Yeah.
oh, is she gonna get back together with Dorian now?
Oh yeah, she
Who's
blames
also suffering with magic that everybody has.
she blames Kale for Nahima's death because he had received a tip that her life was in danger. I found that all a little confusing, to be perfectly honest.
I did too. It was like the king told Chol that, yeah, I've received a valid threat to Nehemiah's life. And K-Hole is like, yeah, I'm not going to say anything to Selena because, like, she'll worry.
He's like, yeah, I don't know.
That
Put an extra.
woman.
He's like, I'll put an extra guard on her. Like, I don't know. What do you expect me to do? I'm captain of the guard. Like, no, like.
Right. Meanwhile,
He's
it's like,
never
we've
killed
known-
anyone.
Right. Because that's
He
the whole
never-
thing. He kills his first person. It's like, how did you become captain of this?
Yeah,
For the evilest king on the planet. Like, what?
and I think this kind of has to do with the romanticy aspect of it all, but there's such a sort of like innocence and like goody two shoesness to everyone a little bit, where she's like, she's an assassin, but she would never kill someone who doesn't deserve it. I'm like, okay, that's like literally in the job description. And then Captain the Guard is like,
It's a 17-year-old.
like, so the twist is that she's whatever. Yes, she breaks up with Kale because she's like, you'll be my enemy forever because he didn't prevent Nahima's death. She misses her girl. I mean, I like Nahima. I was sad that she died. Personally, I was sad.
That was sad. And to your point, that is really when you're like, okay, I'm invested in this plot in
Yeah.
a way that I like loosely was before, but now I'm like, okay, you killed someone we all loved. It shows you're willing to go there, and that's
Yes.
good and exciting.
And the Archer twist, I mean, obviously, once again, much like Kane, there's only one person who could possibly be that with, like, be the twist and betray her. But like, I like that she included a bisexual dude. I like that was hot. That was hot.
And courtesans. I like that we're getting towards a little bit of spice, a little
Spice.
bit of sexual.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the male courtesan.
I
And
also
then-
really like the queen. Sorry, Dorian's mom throws like a week-long carnival for Dorian's little brother, who's a monster.
oh my god, we gotta talk about the witch.
Yeah, I just had to interject because I'm like, my
No.
favorite part of the book was this witch that is
That was the-
working at the brother's carnival. The brother is also just like an evil little twerp who's like sent off to boarding school because he can't be trusted with anyone or anything. He comes home for a little bit. And at this carnival, there is this witch named Baba Yellowlegs, who Selena sees and is like, I think you're a real witch. She has metal teeth, metal fingernails. Yeah, like full Wolverine. Jaundice Wolverine. I don't know. And she's the one who like kind of tells Dorian like, oh, I know you have magic. And then she also tries to kill Selena.
Yeah.
Yes,
She
that was my favorite. So this book again, I was like, I don't know, it's just like book one. And then when they killed Nahima, I was like, okay, she's willing to go there. And then the passage of the witch, I was like, wait, this is actually cool.
Mhm.
And it
it's
starts to like, it just starts to get like broader and bigger and like weirder. Like, no spoilers, but in Heir of Fire, which is like the proper series book 3, the witches become a lot more important and a lot more prominent.
Yeah,
Oh, I
they're in like
can't wait.
they're in this like gypsy caravan, and there's like mirrors everywhere, and she's metal things come down that flash out her knees, and then Selena goes to her because she wants to ask her advice about the riddle that helps her figure out the word keys in the passageway. I don't know worry about that, but she talks to her, and then they have like a creepy fight scene where like she's talking out of different mirrors, and it's like a pretty thrilling sequence. It's like got tension, it's spooky, and I was honestly that's the first time I was like, okay, Sarah J Maas like might kind of know what's up a little bit. That was the first time I sort of trusted her.
I think she does, and I think that like as the series goes, the plotting gets more intricate, the like world gets bigger.
Well, let's talk about
and
the world at
reveals
large.
get cooler.
So, Brittnay, you've read all of ACOTAR?
Yes.
ACOTAR? Did
A Court of Thorns and Roses series.
Is it
for
finished?
listeners at home.
Is it finished?
No, there's supposed to be another book. And I think it's supposed to be the last one, but from what I've heard from people in this fandom longer than I have been in it, that's been teased for a long time. And people don't know when it's going to come.
Does the series feel complete? Oh, wait, sorry. What were you saying, Jacob?
Oh, I was just going to say, I saw a reel of her talking because people were like kind of disappointed in the Crescent City series, which just, I think that trilogy is just wrapped. And she said that the next thing that she's working on is ACOTAR 7 or whatever.
So did ACOTAR 6 feel like the end of like the series, like the plot?
So it's tough because the first 3 books center around one female protagonist, like, it's about one female protagonist. And then there's like a weird novella after that. Not weird, just like a super teeny tiny interim story. And then there's a 5th book that's about one of the protagonist's sisters. And it's from her POV. And the
whole book is.
Yeah. And the protagonist has 2 sisters. So I'm like, it doesn't feel finished because I feel like we need a book in the POV of the 3rd sister. But also the true protagonist you're introduced to is not wrapped up. She's still in the other books, but her POV is wrapped up after the 3rd book.
Is her story, so it's like a trilogy. Is her story over? Like, does it seem like?
Yes.
Okay, so then so that's book 1 through 3, and then you said book 4 is the sister?
4 is a little novella. It's like a Christmas special.
Okay.
It's like one Christmas all together.
A Court of Frost and Starlight.
Exactly. Like no real.
Is it really called that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it like is all just one big Christmas Eve.
And then book 5, and what's book?
And then
so
book
then book 5 is
in the POV of her awful sister, who's just a witch.
She was like straight laced, like really like annoying.
She's the meanest woman alive.
Is it from her point of view, from like the chronology of the first trilogy, or does it happen after the events?
It happens in order.
And is it starting like new worldwide plots? Like, is it feel
yes, which I don't love because it's like after I think the first trilogy of this series, if that's what you want to call it, it is really fun and good, and the stakes are really high. That it did feel like in the 5th book, it's like this sister does get into her own hijinks, but you can't really compare to the stakes we just had in the first 3 books, where it's like it was world-ending stakes.
That's so. Okay, so she wrote. What's the order of the books? Do you know? She wrote Throne of Glass series.
Oh, yeah, she wrote Throne of Glass. Then she wrote ACOTAR, I think.
All
I think
5.
that ACOTAR. I mean, we should know this. The world is Googleable, but I think that ACOTAR.
There's no way to know.
No, there's no way to know.
There's no way to find out.
ACOTAR and Throne of Glass started releasing simultaneously for a period, and then same with Crescent City.
Oh, so okay, I have a question for you. So,
Google.
There's the Fae.
We can't.
Obviously. We find out that Selena is Aelin a Fae. Are these Fae the same Fae as in ACOTAR? Because they're also Fae, right?
They are Fae in ACOTAR, and that's what I think it's like how we get these portals in book 2 in Crown of Midnight. I think we're dealing with like a parallel universe situation because the Fae are different in ACOTAR. They don't have the elongated canines.
They have wings.
Not all of them.
Oh.
Only some of them.
What I've heard is that her next plan, I was just Googling before this we interview, is that her plan is that then the books are going to cross over through portals.
It could, and that would make sense because the Crescent City trilogy is also fairies, but they're like in modern cities and they're texting each other.
I've heard its chronologies that like Throne of Glass is like 1400s, that ACOTAR is like 1800. Wait, they text each other?
They text each other.
Fairies can't text. They need to
Fairies-
speak through the bond. We don't need that.
Wait, that's kind of crazy. Okay, so Brittnay, I will say I've now read. Have you heard about the Throne of Glass prologue novellas? Not prologue.
Well,
What
I
are they
know
called?
about Assassin's Blade, the prequel.
Prequel.
That's what I was planning on reading next. That's what I've been
Yes.
told to read it in, like that
That's
order.
what they say, and I'm curious because I did do that in that order. I did do that.
Mhm.
And,
You do?
I have recently read Assassin's Blade. It's like 5 novellas. I loved it, honestly.
Okay.
I think it's actually better than I think it's the best one yet. It really endears you to her character, and you see Sarah J Maas's writing skills increasing. But like, I'm interested why they say that between 2 and 3 is the best time to read it. Do you know why they say that, Jacob? Or
Because the world starts to expand and the novellas kind of go like kingdom by kingdom, showing different pieces of the world that you sort of need to know about. And there's like things that get hinted at, like that happened with her former love, Sam.
Sam Cortland. I
Sam
love
Cortland.
Sam.
Love him. Never
I
met him.
Normal-
Love him.
The only one with a normal name, other than Bill Chastain, is the first guy that gets murdered.
Right.
But
Bill.
so like you learn like a little bit more about the world, and like it's better to have that teased up before you get into like the main thrust of the series, which starts in Heir of Fire, which at the end of Crown of Midnight we know that she is going off to Wendlin
Yeah.
to murder the like fairy king and queen.
I kind of loved that move of Kale, honestly, being like, because Kale found out that she's a fairy, and he was like, or a fae, sorry, and he was like, get this girl out of this anti-fae kingdom and get her to like the fae stronghold. I was impressed with that.
I like that too. It was a good move from him.
Um,
But this is one thing, like with these books, I do feel like there's so many instructions, and you guys are so much more well versed in this fantasy genre that you tell me if this is normal. But it's like when I started getting into this universe, they're like, you have to read it in this order. The Sarah J Maas, read this series first, then this, and also for Throne of Glass, this one random book you have to read third, and books 8 and 9 you can tandem read.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
I was gonna
tandem
say,
read.
we haven't
That's-
even talked about the
that's
tandem
sick.
read.
sorry,
That's
what?
sick.
Yeah,
Tandem
so-
read.
So books 5 and 6, Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn, take place I haven't read these yet, but they take place with different sets of characters in the exact same period of time. So what people do online is they've sorted out like a reading schedule where you flip back and forth between the two books and read like a set of chapters of book 5 and then a set of chapters of book 6, a set of chapters of book 5, and then that makes it feel like all one big novel instead of feeling like you're reading one set of characters and everything that happens to them that leads to an earth-shattering cliffhanger, and then going back in time and then reading another set of characters that
I'm just gonna read the books one to the next.
Same.
I'm sorry, I'm not doing that. I'm sorry.
Not doing that. Me as a consumer, I should not have to do any work.
So,
No.
Brittnay, are you going to continue the series?
I am going to.
So yeah, truly, I read the prequels. I thought they're really entertaining reading, and I really like Selena. You do get the whole backstory with like what's the assassin master name? Arobin,
Arobin
Arobin?
Hommel.
Arobin, and Sam Cortland, and it's a good story. And I really like Selena by the end. And then I just started book 3, and Jacob said it's like the world goes from like 3 rooms to 3 rooms in a city to a whole world, and it gets very Game of Thronesies. There's witches, there's dragons, there's different countries. There's like it really, in a way that's really unexpected to me after reading book 1 and 2. Honestly,
I'm excited to hear there's dragons because as a Fourth Wing stan, that's really been the one note I've had. It's like
There's
going
no
from
dragons.
dragons to like, here's Faye and Akatar. I was like, get real. I can't do this.
well, we
But
haven't
they're
had
cool.
our podcast is titled "Dragons, Daddy's Deep Space," yet we've had no dragons and actually no deep space.
No. Well, yeah. it's
We had
true.
shallow space.
In the second Throne of Glass with all the portals, there's like, it's like space.
Yeah. And there's bound to be a dragon in there somewhere.
Yeah.
There'll
yeah.
be a dragon. Oh no, Jacob says he loves Heirs of Fire, so I'm really excited. And I think we're gonna do
It
it.
seems to be where it takes off, the series,
Well,
I think, for people.
For the listeners, we're gonna keep. We said we wouldn't do Booktok books, but we quickly reneged. We will be doing Heir of Fire in some capacity. But okay, Brittnay, because you're Hollywood's biggest podcast, I've stocked you some Hollywood hardball questions.
Yes.
Do you know anything about any TV film adaptations of any of the Sarah J Maas books?
There was an Akatar series in development. The rights were bought, I want to say like 3 years ago. I think it was with Hulu. Again, no way to know any of this because like I wish Google existed, but in this portal it doesn't. So I can't find out. But I think Hulu had the rights, but they just it's not moving forward.
I think like just 2 weeks ago they announced that.
Yeah.
Which is kind of
That's
shocking.
crazy.
So
I'm
they had
shocked.
they had Ronald Moore attached to the showrunner who's done Outlander and Battlestar Galactica, sci-fi romance, like the perfect person to adapt it. And I'm kind of, and it's such a successful book. I'm kind of shocked that it was, I really want to know why.
Me too, honestly. And the Fourth Wing TV show is still happening. They're like starting a
Well, that-
writer's room up for that. And I'm like,
Oh my God, I would kill it to work on that show.
I know, right? If anyone's listening to this that needs writers for the Fourth Wing TV
also,
show.
But maybe don't listen to the part where I said I don't like those books because I actually really love them. But that's on Amazon, so they'll do it. If they throw all that money down the drain for Lord of the Rings and Wheel of Time, they'll do Fourth Wing.
Yeah.
But I also looked up. Supposedly Hulu also had the rights to Throne of Glass TV series. This is back in like 5-10 years ago that they're planning on doing as well, but it was also scrapped. Interestingly enough.
That's so weird because I feel like there's so many people that want to watch that. I mean, look at the Booktok of it all. People are obsessed.
Booktok is literally, I've talked about this, like Booktok, Barnes & Noble has literally expanded their bookstores for the first time in like 15 years because of Booktok exclusively. Like,
I'll tell you what, I tried to go to Barnes & Noble for the new Fourth Wing release. I couldn't get in because you had to buy tickets months in advance. My local Barnes & Noble. When was the last time that happened to me? Like
Harry Potter.
Never.
give the people
Harry Potter.
literally Harry Potter. Give the people what they want. You're shutting down Barnes & Noble. Make the TV show.
Do you have any, do you have any casting ideas for Akatar, or sorry, for Throne of Glass TV series?
Yes, and I wrote them down because I really wanted to be prepared. A lot of these are just other characters.
That's okay.
So like Kane is Reacher. Kane
Yeah.
just
Okay,
is
yeah.
Jack Reacher, like huge but evil Reacher.
Yeah, I love that.
actor's name is Alan Richmond, but it's Richmond. Either way, it's Reacher. It's
Richardson.
Kane. This was tough because I, for the life of me, like I don't think I can name a 20-year-old. Like I don't know.
For $1, name a 20-year-old.
I can't. Is Sabrina
Okay.
Carpenter 20?
She'd be great. Selena.
She's a little short.
She's Selena to me. Like Dorian, I'm like, again, I don't know a 20-year-old. I'm like, Matt Bomer? I don't know.
Oh, I'm like that guy, Ian Somerhalder.
Yeah, have him do it.
We're so old.
We're so old.
K-Hole is just Jamie Lannister.
A young
But-
Jamie
but
Lannister.
20.
Yes.
But
I was
20.
like, imagine all these characters, names, but age of
But when they
20
first became famous.
25 years ago.
Exactly. And then the king is Slugworth from Willy Wonka.
Okay,
Ew.
left field. He's just like big and like whatever, but
No,
they'll
but
take it.
he's evil.
He's evil. He's definitely evil. What about Selena? What about our girl?
Really? Sabrina Carpenter, I just said.
That wasn't a joke. Okay.
Okay, she could do like a musical performance as part of the Assassins competition. Like there could be
Yeah.
a talent
Or-
show.
Or just make it a musical. Like,
Make it a musical.
Make it a
oh,
musical.
there's a talent portion of the
And-
King's Champion competition.
Yeah, she'll crush. Grave can't dance
Grave can't dance.
or sing.
I was thinking, I only just thought of this today because I was watching White Lotus, and I thought that sister Piper character would be a really good Selena. Just because.
Well, you know what? Every time because I'm more in the Fourth Wing world, I saw her and thought that's Violet Sorrengail.
Well, she was in that Cruel Intentions TV series, which, did anybody watch that?
No, and I think it got canceled.
It did, so I'm not going to.
TV,
Okay,
everything
amazing.
in TV is going perfectly.
Well, let's.
I want to be on the record saying that.
Okay, well, speaking of TV, we have to plug. I think there's enough time after this episode comes out. Your Muses reading.
Yeah, if this will come out in time.
Comes
Yes,
out on
April
Tuesday.
4th.
Any LA listeners, Brittnay co-wrote this incredible TV pilot Muses with Danny Merritt, and they're doing a live stage reading at the Elysian April 4th, right?
Yes. And that's all you need to know.
That's all you need to know. If you're gonna, wait, how can our 12 listeners find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Brittnay L. Johnston. I should pop right up at Brittnay. I think there's only one of me.
There's a link to Muses there.
Yes.
What about and where can people find your podcast?
You can find it wherever you find your other podcasts. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon. We're on Amazon.
Oh, Jacob, are we on Amazon?
We're on Amazon.
How many listeners do you have on Amazon?
Mm.
He's hiding
Jacob,
these.
can we pull the deck up? Can we
It's
see the
not
deck
good.
and see the numbers?
I think
Did
he
you
sees.
Did you a screen share?
I think he sees numbers, and they're like not. He's like, I think he's protecting me.
No,
honestly.
I'm not. I don't want you to get like overly into the like up and down of it because it's like not gonna help. Anyway, thank you
He's
so much.
protecting you.
I'm protecting you.
Brittnay, this has been a joy. Thank you for bringing a book talk girly sensibility to our gay little podcast.
That's just my life, bringing a book talk sensibility to everyone's gay little podcasts.
I would love
No,
that.
thank you so much for having me. This was so fun. And
This is amazing.
I'm excited to read the other books.
All right, if we ever do Fourth Wing, we might have to hit you up.
Look, you have my number. You have my Instagram.
And we have your podcast.
Yeah, you really
we
have.
comment. Please come back on our podcast after she blocks all of us after recording this. Okay. Cheers.
Hey, cheers. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Hey daddies, bring your dragons, let's go to deep space.